There we go. Okay, now this is a dotted quarter note. Dotted quarter note equals 3 eighth notes, because remember the rule for adding a dot to a rhythmic dot. The rule is you take the number of the amount of time that beat normally gets, and then you add half of it to it. So this normally is 2 eighth notes. Half of that would be 1 eighth note, and you add that to it, which makes 3 eighth notes. So 1, 2, 3, 1, right? So these 3 and this equals the same. The reason I'm pointing that out is because when we're in compound meter, you see a lot of dotted rhythms, particularly a lot of dotted quarter notes and things like that, because those take up one of those bigger beats. One of those, if we're in duple meter or triple meter, they're going to take up one. Now, back to meters. More on that in a minute, but I want to talk about meters. Now, our bottom note is almost always 8 when we're in duple meters, or when we're in compound meters, but there are some oddities that can happen. Now, MuseScore, this program I'm using, doesn't easily give me access to some of those. I'm sure they're here somewhere. But most of the time when we're in compound meter, we're focusing on eighth notes, but you could have a 6/4, 9/4, or 12/4 time where the amount of, basically let's look at 9/8 here. If this was 9/4, these would all be quarter notes, right? There would be 9 quarter notes in the bar. That's weird. It's not the most common thing you see every day. It's a little strange, but it does happen. Another thing you can see is 9/16 or 6/16 or 12/16, where these would all be 16th notes, right? That can happen as well. You see that typically at a slower tempo, it gives almost the same feel as this. And it happens sometimes. It's relatively rare, but in some piece of music, you might see that. And you just have to remember that if it's 12/16 time, for example, it's going to be quadruple meter. So you're going to have groups of 3. They're going to be groups of 3 16th notes in that case. And then if you want to do this and write a rhythm that shows the full duration of one of the bigger groups, in that case, in a 12/16, it's going to be a dotted eighth note, not a dotted quarter note. So you just increase everything by one rhythmic value. It's kind of confusing, but we'll see this in context shortly.